So, in Uttarkashi, I was talking to you about living in Uttarkashi. Babaji had gone off. He was supposed to come back in 6 months. I was learning Sanskrit, visiting ashrams, meditating on the banks of the Ganga, and every day twice, morning and evening, going to the Kashi Vishwanath temple, sitting down quietly, and then going back to my kutir. Now this continued for some time. There was another sannyasi, I think his name was Lakshman Giri, probably Giri, I forget the last part, Lakshman. This sadhu was a tall, thin sadhu who has been living in Uttarkashi for a number of years. So one day he came and told me that there is a great holy man living in Uttarkashi, whom it would be wonderful to go and meet and have darshan. So I inquired about him, and he said that he belonged to the Dandi Swamis. As I mentioned earlier, the Dandi Swamis belong to the Shankara Math and to the branches of the Shankara Math, and they are usually Brahmin sannyasins, and they carry a dandi. It's called Dandi Swamis. So one of this person was a Dandi Swami, and he was very learned in Vedanta and also in meditation. It was at this time that he was asked to succeed and become the Shankaracharya of a math. Now, apart from the 4 maths, which is Sringeri, Dwarka, Puri and Jyotirmatha near Kedarnath, Joshimath. These are the 4 Shankara maths, although there is also a matha at Kanchi, which is called the Kanchi Kamakoti Pitha. This is also a Shankara math. But the Sringeri Matha, which is the southernmost matha, which is in Karnataka, does not accept the existence of any other matha in the south apart from Sringeri Matha. So this is a additional matha which is there. Although there have been great saints who have been part of this matha, like the senior swami of Kanchipuram, whom I have met. I shall describe my meeting with him later on. Anyway, so these 4 mathas, Sringeri, Dwarka, Puri and Joshimath, which is Jyotirmatha. Apart from that, there are any number of auxiliary mathas, which are small mathas, which are branches of one of these. So this great man, whom Lakshman Giri spoke to me about, was a Dandi Swami who was supposed to succeed and become the Acharya, the head of a small branch matha of Sringeri. Now, he suddenly realized that if he took on and became a Mathatipati, head of a matha, so many things involved, formalities involved. So instead of that, he declined. He said, please take somebody else who is next in seniority. I am not interested in becoming a Mathatipati, and walked out of the matha. Came to Uttarkashi. After coming to Uttarkashi, he threw his dandi into the river and became a free Swami, no more a Dandi Swami. And he had not even a kamandalu or a begging bowl. He used to live by whatever food was given to him when he stretched forth his hands. For the time being, he would eat, and what is left he would leave for the birds, drink water from the Ganga, and live quietly in a small kutir. And he would never talk much. He tried most of the time to be in mauna. So when I got it, not Lakshman Giri, is Lakshman Puri. So when Swami Lakshman Puri told me that it's a good thing to go and see him, I said, will he see me? He said, yeah, he'll see you, why not? So he took me one day, and he was in his kutir near the Ganga. So I went and prostrated myself, and he smiled. He was a big built man, tall, very fair. with a balding head but grey hair. When I looked at him, I thought he must be around more than 80 years old. You know how it is at the age of 75, 80, 85. Old people are to be looked after so much, even in our own homes. It's such a difficult thing to look after old people. But here was a man living by eating food with both his hands, drinking water from the Ganga, having refused to become the head of a mutt, having thrown his dandi into the water because he didn't want to be identified with any sect. He wore a saffron Garwa dhoti and a Garwa half sleeve shirt, and a blanket was his only possession. I was very touched and impressed by seeing him. I sat in his presence hoping that I could talk. Suddenly he decided to talk, because Lakshman Puri said normally he is silent, he is in Mauna. He decided to talk. So he said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I am a brahmachari and I am searching for the truth." When I said I am searching for the truth, he smiled and he said, "You have taken up a very difficult task. It is not such an easy thing to do. All my years I have given up my dandi, I have given up my kamandalu, but I am still searching." I was quite touched by it, because many people do go to Uttarkashi for a holiday and stay for 6 months and come back and say they have become God realized. They know everything. Here was a man who had spent all his life, who had given up everything, and who was saying that to search for the truth is not such an easy thing. I haven't found yet, I am still searching. And believe me, not an ordinary man, a man who had studied the Shastras completely, I would say, Upanishads, Vedas. I think he had a very good knowledge of everything. Lakshman Puri used to tell me that he has had various discussions with him on Vedanta, very deep discussions. Then he asked me, "Do you have a guru?" So I thought for a while with my eyes closed, and he said, "No, no, no, I am not going to become your guru, don't worry, because I don't want to have a disciple." He said, "How can I have a disciple when I haven't found it yet?" And I said, "Yeah, I have a guru. Babaji is my guru." He said, "Babaji, there are many Babajis. Which Babaji?" I said, "My Babaji is a direct disciple of Sri Guru Babaji." He said, "I've heard of Sri Guru Babaji." "Yes," he said. "Wonderful. So you are lucky." I said, "Good. So do you think I can meet him if he is around?" I said, "He is gone off. He'll come back after 6 months." And then there were only 5 more months left. "He'll come back after 5 months. I will ask him if you would like to see him." He said, "I would very much like to see him." Then we sat and meditated together for a while, and I saw that his mind was quite silent and settled. And then after a while I quietly got up and prostrated and came away. So another interesting thing was, after some time I got a little fed up of staying in that kutir, because many people came to know that I was staying in the kutir, especially some of the brahmacharis and sadhus who were from Kerala came to know that I was staying here and that I was from Kerala originally. So a small network was being created. People used to come and sit down and talk and discuss matters, and slowly from Vedanta it would go to politics, and this whole thing was going on. So I decided that I will leave this kutir and go and stay in some place where people generally cannot gather and discuss and talk too much. I was looking for a place. Now one of the brahmacharis, who happened to be kind of sent for tapasya from the Ramakrishna mission in Kerala, from Trichure. What happens is, in ashramas like the Ramakrishna mission, a brahmachari or a sannyasi, sadhu, is not supposed to have things like a bank account and a passbook and so on. They are not supposed to have any individual lives. apart from the fact that they should control themselves, learn how to eat limited food, discipline their minds. Now, if it is found that some of the brahmacharis or swamis have committed something which is against the rules, for which they need to be disciplined, then usually they are sent to faraway places, but places of pilgrimage where there is no Ramakrishna mission, there is no mutt. Because if they go to a Ramakrishna mission center, again they'll get food, they'll have everything, all the luxuries that are needed for a sadhu will be there. So they are sent away to places like Uttarkashi. Uttarkashi is one of the favorite places where they are supposed to live for 6 months or 1 year and do tapasya, which means they have to go to Annakshetra, beg for food. In the Ramakrishna mission, nobody needs to beg for food, it is available in the dining hall. So this is considered to be discipline, and then they have to meditate, study, do japa. So one of these brahmacharis, whom I had already known some years back, he told me that there is one house available which is on the outskirts of Uttarkashi on the way to Gangotri. Then I said, why is it lying vacant? Why is nobody there? He said, the problem is, first of all, there is no electricity there. And secondly, some brahmachari used to live there from Andhra Pradesh. And he had built a cave to meditate. And as soon as you enter the room, there are steps going down, and underneath there is an underground kind of a chamber which he had built for some yogic practice or tapasya, kayakalpa, something like that. So I said, then that is ideal. So I can go inside. He said, that is why nobody is going there now, because this brahmachari, this yogi, who used to meditate in the cave, got very troubled and frustrated and agitated due to various reasons, and he decided to commit suicide. So he went in, put kerosene on his body and set himself on fire and died. So after it was cleared and everything, nobody stays there because of the fear that the ghost might come. So when he told me this, I said that is an ideal place to go and stay because nobody will bother you. There was a little bit of fear and apprehension which slowly vanished, because Babaji had always told me, the Aghori sadhus, they live near smashans, cremation grounds and such terrible places, so that nobody will go and bother them. Everybody is afraid of going to the burning grounds. Only jackals and dogs are around in the night, or maybe people who are tomb thieves or drunks. Nobody else goes there. So I said this is the ideal place because I would be completely undisturbed. First 2 nights I found it difficult to meditate inside. Not because I saw anybody, but there was a fear in the mind. But slowly I learned to adjust, and very soon I was free of it. Only one night I remember that when I was meditating around midnight, I thought I heard somebody crying as if they are very sad. The sound of crying came, and I thought I saw somebody with a white cloth on their head walking up the stairs. That is the only one and only time I had any such experience, but I dismissed it from the mind, and Babaji had taught me what to chant when you are afraid. So I chanted that mantra, thought of Babaji, and continued to stay there. After 6 months, which means around April time, Babaji came back. So instead of going to the kutir, he came straight there. And he said, so now you are staying in a haunted house. I said, yes, Babaji, like to stay here. He said, okay. There were 2-3 rooms there. He said, I'll also stay with you here. So he also stayed. So I explained to, he knew, but I told him one night I heard a voice and I saw something. He said, dismiss it from your mind. This should not affect yogis. Now, after a couple of days, then he checked my Sanskrit, how far I had gone, what I am learning, And I told him how Sharmaji said that you send all kinds of people to him, so he laughed. He said, yeah, he's like, he was a good man. Okay, fine. Then I told him about the existence of this Dandi Swami, ex-Dandi Swami, who was living in Uttarkashi, and he said he requested that if you come back, it will be possible for you to go and see him. He said, yes, I will go and see him. I already had thought of seeing him, so we will go. I accompanied him. I went there. As soon as we reached there, now that day, this Swami was sitting on a flat rock near the river when we went. So, as soon as he saw me and Babaji coming, he understood that this must be my Guru, Babaji. So he got up, and even though he was a very old man, Babaji looked always like a 35-year-old man. Anyway, he got up and tried to do pranams, and Babaji did not allow him to do pranams. He held his hands and said, don't do it first. You are a sannyasin who is wearing an ochre robe, and the institution of sannyas is one of the most respected institutions in this country. So I cannot allow you to do pranams to me. I am wearing white, Babaji said. I am not wearing gerua. Second thing is, you are much older than me and you are very knowledgeable, so you cannot do pranams. So he did namaskar and sat down. And then Babaji told me, you do pranams. So I did pranams to him. Then he said to Babaji, I would like to discuss certain matters with you. Is it okay with you? Babaji said, it's okay. Babaji said, do you want him to go? Is it personal? He said, no, let him stay because he will learn a lot in our discussion. So I stayed. Then they had a long discussion, and he told him how he had studied, what he had studied, how much he had studied, and because of which, and still he has not touched that which he should have touched, which is the truth. Babaji told him, see, the problem is only one thing now. You have gathered so much knowledge. You are a good man, but you have gathered so much knowledge in your head that the spark of the truth which lies in everyone hidden is now completely covered by the knowledge that you have studied. Now this was a completely new concept. I have never even thought of this concept. He said, you are now conditioned by the knowledge that you have acquired. You have given up your dandi, you have given up your kamandalu, you have given up your position as the head of the mutt, but you still have somewhere in your mind the feeling that you are better than others because you have knowledge. He said, now that is your last barrier. If you can get rid of that, then you are free. Then he explained. He said, he asked him, have you read the Ishavasya Upanishad? So the Swamiji said, yes, I have read the Ishavasya. Do you remember a particular sloka from the Ishavasya Upanishad which says that one who worships ignorance, avidya, enters into darkness, which is quite all right. We all agree that one who worships darkness or ignorance enters into darkness. But the next line immediately after that in the Ishavasya Upanishad is, and he who worships knowledge enters into greater darkness. And Babaji explained to him that some people explain it by saying that it refers to paravidya and aparavidya, which means that ignorance is, when they talk of knowledge, he who worships knowledge enters into greater darkness, they are talking about aparavidya, or knowledge of ordinary things. And Babaji said, if that was the case, the rishis never said things which are not certain. They would have definitely said paravidya and aparavidya. Nothing like that has been mentioned in the Upanishad. He said, that is because if you have not got the explanation till now. So the Swamiji said, actually this used to trouble me all the time. I haven't found an explanation. He said, okay, let me explain, listen carefully. And he looked at me to see if I was listening carefully. He said, how does one acquire knowledge? Swamiji said, by studying something. He said, when you study something, what does it mean? What are you studying? He said, because I don't know about it. Okay. So when you don't know about something, you try to know about it, you try to understand it. Fine. Now when you have understood it, what happens? When I have understood it, it is stored in my memory, right? So when you have understood something, it is stored in your memory, and then you say this is knowledge. Yes. Which means anything that we say we have knowledge about is something that has been understood and stored in the memory, which can be at any given moment extracted. Which means it's stored in the memory, but at any time you can recover it and put it back again. This is what is called knowledge, any knowledge, spiritual, mental, moral, ordinary. Yes. Said, but the truth that you are seeking, the truth that we seek, is not a thing of the past, because all memory is something to do with the past. Otherwise it's not called a memory. You can't have a memory of the present. The moment you have it becomes a memory, it has already gone to the past. It cannot be in the present. Now the truth that you are seeking, which Vedanta talks about, is to be found in the present, here and now. It cannot be found in memory, because memory is always a thing of the past, and all the knowledge that you have is a thing of the past because it is a memory. So when that ceases and the mind becomes free of it, then you will realize that the truth is right now here, moving every second without staying anywhere. Like the river that moves, because it moves, it does not gather any muck. The moment it stops moving, it becomes like a dead pond which develops fungus and various other things in it and becomes stale. So it's this movement of the mind without clinging to anything, including knowledge, is the only way to find out what the truth is, because the truth is always in the present and not in the past, and therefore is not in any knowledge that you have acquired. The Swami closed his eyes for a minute and said, I think now I have understood what you are trying to say. I think I have understood. Babaji said, that's fine. I think you shall be free very soon. And he got up and blessed him, and we walked out. Then we were scheduled to go to Gomukh, to Gangotri and Gomukh from Uttarkashi. Now, I have to, before that I want to tell you a small story, just like similar to the story of the Swami, Dandi Swami and Babaji. If you remember, I think most of you know, most of us know about the existence of a great person called Ramana Maharshi, who used to live in Trivandrum. Trivandrum is not very far from here. Now, I won't go into the life of Ramana Maharshi, but I am going to just give you a small instance of what happened to a great seeker whose name was Ganapati Muni, who was a scholar in the Upanishads, in the Vedas. He had studied everything that one would require to move into the spiritual life. Ganapati Muni was also an expert on the Sri Vidya. Now when we come to that in Gomukh, as we travel, I will talk to you about that. But he was an expert in the Sri Vidya Upasana and all the scriptures that are to be studied by the sadhak who moves towards the spiritual path. And after having studied all that, Karma Kanda, the Jnana Kanda, and all these, the Upanishads, the Brahmanas, the Aranyakas, he felt that still he has not reached the truth, he had not reached the Satya which he was seeking. There was an invisible but strong barrier that prevented him from breaking through. So he was searching for someone. He went to many places. Then he went to Trivandrum, and there somebody told him that there is a swami, unknown yogi, sitting in the Skandashrama cave. In those days, Ramana Maharshi was not known, he was unknown. Actually, till Paul Brunton wrote his book, Search in Secret India, hardly anybody knew about Ramana Maharshi. So he was living in the cave called Skandashrama cave. So why don't you go there? So Ganapati Shastrigal went to see him, and Maharshi was sitting as usual with folded legs, looking straight. Ramana Maharshi hardly closed his eyes when he meditated. It was always open, but no movement. He was sitting there quietly and peacefully. So Kavyakanta Ganapati Shastrigal, that's how he used to be called, he went and stood in front of him, then sat down. No movement, no sign of recognition. After quite some time, his eyes started moving and he looked at him. Both of them looked at each other. Then he asked. Ramana Maharshi hardly spoke. He spoke very few words. So he did like this. What is the matter? Why have you come? So Ganapati Muni went on into a long discussion on what he had come for. He said, I am so and so. I have studied the Vedas, I have done this, I have done that, Gita, I have studied all the commentaries of Gaudapada, I have done the Sri Vidya Upasana, I have been initiated in Shodashakshari Mantra, I am a Sri Chakra Upasaka, whole thing. But still, there is a barrier. How to get rid of? So, இப்போ என்ன செய்யணும்? He asked. இதெல்லாம் செய்தாச்சு என்ன செய்யறது? So Maharshi is supposed to have smiled and told him, கொஞ்ச நேரம் சும்மா இருக்க முடியுமா? Can you keep quiet for a while? You have done so many things, you have been talking about it. Can you just keep quiet? That's all that is required, because you are so caught up. Just can you shut up and sit for a while? So Ganapati Muni, when he heard that, you see, when there is a proper receptor, disciple, and a proper teacher, and when both are in rapport with each other, then when truth is said, it immediately takes effect. Like a flash, Kavyakanta Ganapati Shastrigal realized what he was seeking. His barriers broke and he became absolutely free. And then he came back and told people that there is a great jnani sitting up there in Skandashrama about whom you have no idea. Why don't you go and take his blessings? That's from that time Ramana Maharshi slowly came to be known in the world. And then Paul Brunton came and stayed with him for some time and said that he just sat and understood everything without a word coming from Maharshi. So that is when he wrote the book called A Search in Secret India with Ramana Maharshi's picture in it, and he became well known to the world.